So we'll start with 1 onion. We're just gonna kind of chop it up into big chunks. Then we're gonna cut these little red potatoes into about quarters. Then I'm going to take my baking sheet. I've already preheated my oven to 450 degrees. So we're going to toss all these veggies on here. So the recipe calls to season this with a tablespoon and a half of olive oil and some Italian seasoning. But I have some leftover oil from my marinated onions. Thanks, no crumbs left. And I'm just going to toss that over my veggies instead. If you haven't made the onions yet, you have to check out her recipe. It is life-changing. So then I'm going to season that with half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just using sea salt here. And then about a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm just going to use my hands to toss it up. Okay, and then this is going to go into a convection oven at 450 degrees for about 20 minutes. So next I'm going to make a dressing, which is going to be a dressing for the arugula and also a glaze for the salmon. So for this dressing, I'm going to use a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Now this is Dijon mustard that I got at Sprouts. It is Whole30 compliant and really good. Then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, which measures really well with this pour spout, but that looks about right. And then about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm just going to mix up this glaze. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of honey to this. I'm in the reintroduction phase of my Whole30, so I'm going to go without the honey today. I'm going to take about a tablespoon of this and set it aside to use as a glaze on my salmon. And then the rest of this will be the dressing for the arugula salad. Next thing I'm going to do is get the salmon ready for the oven. I have 1 skin-on salmon fillet that I cut into 3 pieces. One tip I have for salmon is to pat it dry with a paper towel before it goes into the oven to make sure that your skin gets nice and crispy and your meat doesn't get too soggy. So I'm going to season my salmon with half a teaspoon of salt, about a quarter teaspoon of cracked black pepper, and then a little bit of olive oil drizzled over. Once my veggies have been in the oven for about 12 minutes, I'll just nestle this salmon in with the veggies for the rest of their cooking time. Okay, so here are my veggies. After about 12 minutes, I stirred them up a little bit, made a little area for the salmon to live, and now this is going to go back into the oven for about 8 minutes until the salmon's almost done. So this is the remaining dressing that I made. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of golden raisins to this. These are obviously unsweetened, just plain old raisins. Mix that up. And then I'm going to add about a quarter teaspoon of salt. And then a couple cracks of black pepper. And now this will be my salad dressing for my arugula. Okay, so the salmon came out of the oven after 8 minutes, and I am going to, I lost the brush. Okay, so I took the salmon out of the oven after about 8 minutes, and I'm gonna brush it with the rest of this balsamic Dijon glaze, and then back into the oven for 2 to 3 minutes. So now the salmon and veggies are done. All I'm gonna do is toss the arugula with this dressing and then plate it up.